Dating is already complicated, but now add ADHD into the mix, and it can feel like a whole new level of a different kind of experience. Do you ever wonder why your partner calls you distracted or forgetful? Why you struggle perhaps with consistency in relationships? Or why your emotions sometimes feel like a roller coaster? You see, in today's episode, we're going to dive deep into the neuroscience and also psychology behind ADHD in relationships, and also the struggle, the misunderstandings, and most importantly, how to make it work. And welcome also here for those of you who are new. Remember to subscribe. Join me every Wednesday for my free masterclasses at matmasterclass.com. So, why are these relationships so challenging? First, let's actually just break down what makes dating with ADHD so different. You see, this condition isn't just about hyperactivity, it's about being easily distracted, and it affects how we regulate emotions, how we prioritize our partner's needs, and even how we experience love. So let's look at three key ways ADHD affects relationships. Number one is that the dopamine roller coaster. Why we love hard and we lose fast interest. You see, the ADHD brain craves novelty, and also nothing is more exciting than falling in love. So, in the beginning of a relationship, hyper focus kicks in. Your partner is the center of your world. You feel intense passion. There's endless conversations. There's spontaneous dates. And there's a very deep connection. This is because dopamine levels are surging. But then the novelty fades. Daily routines set in. Your brain stops getting that dopamine bit. Suddenly, maintaining now the same level of interest becomes actually more challenging. And your partner might actually feel like you're pulling away. And just to squeeze in a reflective moment here, have you ever felt really super obsessed with someone at first, only then to suddenly just struggle with staying engaged? Right? It's not because you don't love them, it's because your brain is wired differently. Now, here's a potential solution. Maybe learn to create intentional novelty in your relationship. Schedule new experiences, surprises, or even change the date locations just to keep that dopamine flowing. The second challenge is the executive function struggles, right? Forgetting plans, losing track of time. So, have you, for example, ever been accused of just forgetting important dates or getting distracted mid conversation, losing track of time, and being late to meet your partner? You see, it's not a sign of disrespect, it's ADHD's effect on the executive function. Now, the executive function controls planning ahead, prioritizing tasks, and remembering details as well. So, with ADHD, the brain's prefrontal cortex actually has reduced activity, making it hard to stay on top of responsibilities, even when you care deeply about your partner. And common relationship conflicts is, why don't you ever text me first? How could you forget our anniversary? Or, for example, you always leave mess in the house. Now, I'm not saying that if you tick the boxes of any of the 3 points that I just mentioned that you have ADHD. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying these are common challenges that ADHD relationships tend to struggle with. Keep that in mind, right? So now a solution: set digital reminders, write notes, create shared calendars with your partner. It's not about not caring, it's about working with how your brain functions as well. And something that can also be very highly beneficial is my book, actually, Boundaries, right? Learn and understand better what are your boundaries, especially within a relationship. And another one that can work really well: relationship resolution. This book is not necessarily specifically for people struggling with ADHD or who have it, but this is really something that can give you quite a powerful roadmap forward as well. So let's talk about emotions. So people with ADHD feel things strongly, right? They love deeply, they get excited easily, but they also feel rejection so much harder than most people. This is called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, RSD. Now, what RSD feels like in a relationship, one misunderstood text, for example, they're mad at me, I'm a burden, right? Or the partner seems quiet. They're losing interest in me, right? A person's mind can go from a 0 to 1,000, from a plausible case scenario to the absolute worst case scenario. And a simple disagreement as well can cause an emotional spiral of feeling completely worthless. When we now look at these responses and the ADHD brain that has a much more challenged ability to regulate emotions because of weaker prefrontal cortex activity and an overactive amygdala, which is the fear center. So, solutions here, for example, could be pause before reacting. Ask yourself, is this fact or fear? Communicate your triggers with your partner. Tell them, sometimes I read too much into things. Can we clarify before assuming? Another point is practice self soothing techniques like deep breathing, affirmations, or movements to regulate emotional responses. So, how can you make an ADHD relationship work? Well, a good point is, apart from what we've already discussed, is to work with your brain and actually not against it. Remember, set reminders for important dates. Use phone alerts, sticky notes, or shared calendars. And don't just rely on one source, maybe have a few. Create also consistent communication habits, right? Check in the same time, for example, every day. And be honest also about your struggles. Tell your partner, I need structure to show up for you. Here are some tips for a partner that does not have ADHD. However, they're dating someone who does. So for you, instead of saying, why can't you just remember? Say, how can we create a reminder system together? What you can do also is that understand that ADHD isn't an excuse, but it is at least an explanation. Don't also take emotional reactions personally. Sometimes it's an ADHD stress response and not a relationship problem. So, some final thoughts here is that love can work with ADHD because dating with it comes with challenges, but most relationships do, even without it. So, but what it also comes with is passion, spontaneity, and also deep, deep emotional connections. So if you feel that you're struggling in your relationship, remember, ADHD brains need different systems, not judgment. They also need communication. Communication is key. Talk about needs, don't assume. Because the best way to kill a relationship is stop communicating. That's it. End. The relationship will just naturally die off. Communication is important. And that also means don't punish your partner with silence when you are upset. Communication is your power tool. Learning also about, for example, neuroscience and psychology, it really can save your relationship as well. So I would like to thank you also for being here with me today in our episode. I would love you to comment, which ADHD struggle do you relate to the most? Drop it there in the comments bar. Subscribe if you haven't yet already. And remember also to come back for our next episode. I would love to have you guys here. And thank you for your love, your time, and your energy. And until then, take care, guys. Bye. And remember, if you want to learn more about stored emotions in the body and how they can even be hiding behind ailments, tension, pain, negative thoughts, beliefs, any challenges that you're having in your body, there's going to be stored messages. So remember to go grab your copy of Metaphysical Anatomy. It's a big book of 722 medical ailments and then the emotions that are suppressed behind them as well. You'll be also finding powerful questions in this book that can really truly help you to get started on your healing journey. And you can find your copy at evettebooks.com.